Hi, everyone. Welcome to the ILAB. My name is Jody Goldstein. I'm the director here. I'm going to give you a quick and dirty overview of who we are and then turn it over to the reason why you're really here. For those of you who are new to the ILAB, we opened 2 years ago. We are a one Harvard-inspired cross-university endeavor to support entrepreneurship all across Harvard. We've had, over about 100,000 people come through in the last 2 years. We've had over 550 companies incubated here. We're so excited about the response we've gotten from across the university. And so for those of you who are new and haven't checked out the ILAB yet, I highly encourage you to do so. We have a great website, and if you sign up for our newsletter, you can find out about all the great events that we're having, such as this one. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to the reason why you are all here. Just to give you a little bit of context, these athletes have spent all day here at the ILAB working with a company called MC10 that you'll be hearing a little bit more about in a second, who develops electronics to interact with the human body, and they've assembled this sports advisory board to help further develop their products. So they've spent a day working on this, and then they've so graciously agreed to talk to you folks for the next hour or so. So what I'm going to do now is introduce our moderator for today, Anita Elberse, who is an award-winning professor at HBS. Many of you may already know her. She has a deep expertise in the business of sports, media, and entertainment, and really understands the athlete. And I'm just going to turn it right over to her. I'm so pleased to have you here, and I'll let you introduce our guests. Thanks a lot for being here.
Great, thank you. It is a pleasure to be here. I hope you agree that we have a rock star panel lined up for you today. I'm going to start by introducing the man who made it all possible, Isaiah Kazavenski. He played in the NFL for 8 years with the Seahawks, the Rams, and the Raiders. Only the Seahawks are getting the, sadly. And he's a graduate of the Harvard Business School, 2011. He currently runs sports segment at MC10. So Isaiah, over to you.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Thanks everyone for coming. As Jody talked about, we've had a pretty long day, and really a day that has never happened before if you think about innovation in elite athletes and in an open platform where they can really take their experiences and try to apply those to a game-changing technology that is MC10. And I'll give you a little background on MC10. It's a technology platform that essentially revolves around flexible, high-performance electronics. So our ability and our intellectual property around thinning and then embedding the electronics into a polymer or some type of substrate to allow that to interact with the human body in a way that we just have not seen before. And think about MC10 as innovating on form factor. A lot of people are trying to innovate on a lot of different things these days. Think about all the different ways to innovate on an algorithm or differentiate an algorithm. There's not a lot of people that can do what we can do. And it truly is a game-changing technology if you think about that. And we have 3 segments at MC10 with consumer electronics, digital health, and medical device. And the sports and fitness side is the tip of the spear for us as we continue to develop our core platform, our core technology. In the end, I'm going to leave you with this. In the end, our goal is to leave you with a seamless sensing experience, to put a wearable device on, forget about it, gather data in the background. It could then give you a way to think about your health in a different way, think about your performance in a different way, take a proactive approach to your health instead of an episodic, reactive approach, where you can start to think about pattern matching to what your normal is and take an approach where you can get ahead of the curve, you can head catastrophe off at the pass before it happens. And it's a completely different way to think about your life. And I'm excited I joined MC10 after. I was in lack of finding something I was passionate about when I retired. And this was the spot. And I want to thank Jody and Anita for taking time to be able to make this happen today. Harvard is a very, very special place to me. It changed my life. I grew up in poverty. I had nothing. And this place gave me everything. So that's it.
Great. Well, thank you. I'm going to give a very brief introduction of all the different panelists, but this is truly one of those panels where no one needs an introduction. All the way on the other side, I hope you can hear me.
Well, I'm the one that needs the introduction, so you can take a little extra, just take a little extra time with my resume.
Yes, I'll give you a little more. He is a soccer player, played in the MLS, was an MLS MVP, also a U.S. men's national team player. He is the now ESPN's lead analyst for Major League Soccer and a U.S. men's national team matches is also what he covers. A very prolific scorer, but unfortunately a career cut short by injury, by concussions, and this is something that we have to cover. But we have to give a shout out to the New England Revolution, which was better for him. Please welcome Taylor Twellman.
Thank you.
Sitting next to Taylor is a
lot better athlete.
A
I forgot I had my mic on.
A four-time Olympic medalist, including a gold medalist and a four-time world champion, as well as the all-time leader in games played for Team USA. She serves now on the International Olympic Committee's Athletes Commission. And most importantly, she completed my course last semester. Please welcome Angela Ruggiero. Sitting next to her is a representative for the #1 sport in the U.S., lacrosse.
Yeah. Ooh. Oh. Fastest growing. Expecting that one. What?
He graduated from Johns Hopkins University, where he was a four-time All-American and two-time national champion. Within Major League Lacrosse, he is one of only 3 players to have won a MLL, NLL, World and Division I championship. I have no idea what it means, but it does sound very, very good.
Still trying to figure it out.
Please welcome Paul Robiel. Sitting next to Paul is a true legend of soccer worldwide. She competed on the U.S. national team for 23 years.
Say that again, by the way.
23 years.
Amazing.
Is the most capped player in soccer history, male or female, with 352 caps. It is hard to even decide where to start with all the accolades, but maybe just pointing out that she was inducted into the U.S. Olympic Hall of Fame in 2012 will do it. Please welcome Christine Lilly.
Hey.
She was just inducted into the U.S. Soccer Hall of Fame on Monday.
Whoa.
There you go. $100 an autograph. Just please see me.
That's my agent right now.
Sitting next to Christine is a man who was an academic All-American at a place, and I hope I pronounced this correctly, called Stanford University.
Very well.
No idea what that means also. But he was at the forefront of transforming Stanford University into a perennial national contender, and we all know how they kept beating USC. I'm a Trojan, so that hurt particularly hard. He was the #1 pick in the 2012 NFL draft and currently plays quarterback for the NFL at the Indianapolis Colts. His rookie season was one to remember with an unprecedented 11-5 record, and the second season was just as good. Please welcome Andrew Luck. And then to my right, and he could actually hurt me, so I'm going to go really easy on him. He is a quarterback also for the Indianapolis Colts. A long history in the NFL, playing for the Green Bay Packers, the Seattle Seahawks, the Tennessee Titans, and now the Colts. An all-pro selection, 3 Pro Bowls. Please welcome Matt Hasselbeck. So this leaves about 5 minutes for questions. So let's jump right into this. The topic for today is new technologies and how they may affect athletes in good ways and maybe in bad ways. What I'd like to start with is ask you, what is the one innovation that you are personally most excited about? And how will it transform athletes' careers going forward? And don't all say MC10.
I have to. I guess I'll
Feel
start.
free to jump in, yes.
Yeah, I'll start. I think the society, everything we're involved in, you guys are involved in. We had a chance to tour the lab. It's really unbelievable. It's really everything you hear, but it's everything that I and the rest of the panel kind of gear towards is capturing data and important data. And as athletes, and some of us are still playing, you want to really understand how you can improve and to what level. And so, we're here with MC10 for a reason, right? Not to promote the brand, because quite honestly, the models that they have are very extensive in terms of partnering with big sporting retail manufacturers and developing more proprietary intel, but really behind the source of capturing content that we can then take and analyze. And one of the brainstorming sessions specifically that I'll talk about is for an athlete. I'm sure we've all kind of played or to a certain level, and most of the reason why you guys are here, outside of seeing Andrew Luck, is
Whoa!
There's a moment. Sorry, Taylor. Yeah, well, I felt it, and I'm sitting just 2 over the phone. There's a moment, and he's like 6 years younger than me. There's a moment in any athlete's game, and this was our specific brainstorming session, where we called it like, the hot moment, where you can't really, and that data I think has really been a $1 billion question. Like the moment when LeBron James can't miss a shot, or when Matt Hasselbeck can't miss a throw, or if I'm on the field and I just throwing the ball towards the net feels like putting a ball in the ocean. And like, what is that made of? It's a level of confidence. It's a level of repetition. Understanding your body, your mechanics. Muscle activity, range of motion, and so have the opportunity to be a part of a brand like MC10 that has wearable technology, or is developing wearable technology to put on the market that can measure to an exact degree, your muscle activity, your hydration levels, your range of motion. That's the next closest step to being able to capture those fine moments, so we can then analyze and look at a moment where you scored several goals in a row and you felt great. Well, sports psychologists have been trying to do it for some time in fabricating that moment prior to a game with an athlete, and coaches try to put you in the best position to succeed. But really, like, what is that moment made of? And to be able to have those analytics in real time that are constantly flowing, that's something that the team is really working hard on. And my role and the team's role here is, to guide them from our perspective on the field.
Other thoughts on the single biggest?
I just say that I'm excited that technology is being invited to the party in terms of football, and really sports in general. People would be shocked at how primitive football is in terms of technology. It just has not changed. I'm going into my 17th year. Nothing's different. I was a ball boy for the Patriots in high school. Seriously, like almost nothing's different. The coach to quarterback system that, the coach on the sideline, calls a play and he'll be like, all right, here we go. We got trips right, zebra left, 2 jet X dagger, wash out across, fake 40. He'll say that into the helmet, right? Which sounds foreign, but it's really simple. But he'll say that into the helmet, but you can barely hear it. It's like on a walkie-talkie. The technology has not improved. There's a receiver and 2 speakers and like AAA batteries in your helmet. Like we want, like as athletes, we want the best and brightest minds in the world to take a look at what we're doing on the football field. It's a huge industry, and make it better. You see wearable technology, you see people counting the number of steps that they take. That's awesome, but we can't wear that in a game. You can't wear that at practice. LeBron James can't go wear that in a basketball game. We came up with this check light, measures, it's a head impact indicator for kids. I have 3 kids. Head injury is a big thing. There's people here whose careers were cut short on that. We love our sports. We don't want our kids to miss out on those opportunities. We want to make those sports better. Again, the answer to me is technology. Like, we need data. We need to learn about the brain and how it's affected in sports, with whether it's women's soccer or football or hockey, whatever it is. So to answer your question, like, yeah, are there certain cool gadgets and different things that we talked about and saw that we're excited about? Yeah, but more than that, I think we're excited about just inviting technology and the smartest minds in the world to tackle these problems with us. A great example is there's this biostamp that MC10 came out with. It's basically like a flexible, flimsy SIM card that you put in your cell phone. Isaiah and I played in Seattle back when it was like field turf, where you get turf burns all the time. And the solution for a turf burn is they would put this product on. It's like saran wrap. We call it like a Tegaderm. 3M makes it. And Isaiah's sitting there with engineers one day, and the turf burn part's simple to him. The flexible SIM card's simple to them. He's like, well, there's this thing, I've used in Seattle. Could you put it in that? Boom, and we got a product. And now we can measure anything you want to measure. It's awesome, but that's different people from different backgrounds and different experiences coming together to make something happen. And that's what excites me about everything, not only in engineers to athletes, but football player to soccer player to lacrosse player to hockey player. That's exciting.
Yeah, to piggyback off of Matt, I think the safety issues and hopefully inviting more technology to help protect your head, to help protect different parts of your body. And not only in football and lacrosse and hockey, right? And soccer. How many little kids in soccer, little girls, do you have quantifiable data that can help you get better? Because I think that's the first step in a lot of the things. I know specifically to football, a chance for unobtrusive, conformable technology to help you, track a pitch count, see how many throws you're making in training camp. We know probably since the beginning of time, quarterbacks complain in training camp about throwing too much and my arm's getting tired, and when is it at its peak performance? So if there's ways to capture that and give feedback and say, to the quarterback, to a swinging leg, to a lacrosse shot. Whatever
Thing.
I think it could help the athlete, either prolong the life of the skill that makes you so valuable in a sense. So I think there's a lot of great possibilities.
Yeah, I think just to add to that, I always used to joke my former career, my athletic career, my job was to be the healthiest person in the world. Your job is really, how do you maximize your performance? And it's by taking care of your nutrition, your sleeping habits, your diet, your recovery when you're injured. There's so many variables that go into ultimate success, and the more information you can have to control those variables, the more likely you're going to have that success that you're looking for. And here at Harvard Business School, we talk about this all the time, about having real indicators of success in a business. First year RCs, your balanced scorecards. There's so many things in business that you do all the time to hopefully eliminate the risk, and you come out with the performance you're looking for. So it's the same thing when you're an athlete, except you're your own business. You're trying to figure out, how can I be better? How can I contribute to the team? And the fact that technology like MC10 is coming out and giving you real data. I remember the first time I had a heart rate monitor, and I could see, whoa, my heart rate's getting up to 200. That's great because I'm pushing myself. But how quickly can I recover? And I'd sit there and time it, and then I was able to wear the strap and see it in a game and see how quickly I could recover in between shifts. And right at that point, I'm at 130, my coach could say, okay, Angela's ready to go back on the ice. So over time, technology has really helped us, I think, become the best athlete, become the healthiest person possible. But with innovations like MC10, it's taking it to a whole new level.
I'll just tell a brief story. In 1996, I was training for the Olympics in Florida, and it was in July. We were training from probably January till July, and obviously it gets really hot down in Florida. So before practices, we had to go into the training room. We had to weigh in. It wasn't to see just how much you're weighing. It was to see how much water weight you lose during practice. So to see how many pounds you lose just because you're sweating it out. So we'd go and weigh, and we'd give our weight, go back in, and we'd probably lose 2 or 3 pounds, every session. So instead of going to the machines and standing on, you can have this device, wearable devices right on you, where it can tell you what your hydration level is, so you know if you need to drink some more, not just at practice, but throughout the day. And that's the stuff where we need to know. It's not just during the practice time, but throughout the day. And when you have something that's on you that's not intrusive, it's not any bother, you don't even know it's there, and you can just do your normal everyday thing, is pretty incredible. And that's just a small taste of what MC10 has, and that to me is just very exciting.
So I want to say one quick thing, and it resonates with what both you guys said. And this thing about when I was a player, and I've talked with Matt about this several times, is you think about your body as a business. You're your own entrepreneur, and to have that dashboard of things available to you, to see all these different metrics on how they can give you one extra step, or how you can try to really head off chronic misuse of different parts of your body, so you can kind of head off injuries before they happen, is important. But really thinking about that body as a business, not only for the athlete, right? You're talking about elite athletes here, but think about each person, each consumer in the end, think about their body as a business, and their well-being and their health is something that's going to propel them forward to do things that they didn't think they could do. And I guess I can go on like a really sappy spiel, but the fact is their life can get better if they have this dashboard in front of them.
That was way too sappy. Let's move on very quickly. This is an unusual group of athletes who are very serious and thinking very deeply about how they can perform better or extend the life of their career and avoid injury. In general, where's the source of innovation? Is it athletes who are pushing for these innovations? Because that's what it sounds like. Or is it coming from the team? Is it coming from the coaches? Is it coming from somewhere else? What is the source of innovation?
I think the source is a combined effort. I mean, we want the information. Our coaches do, obviously. They want to know not only for us, but if there's another guy that's better fit for that position. And you look at the NFL Combine, how competitive that is. But I think overall, it's just, I think the actual opportunity, just like in any industry, if you look at as in any industry evolves, like, look, analyzing data on how athletes perform isn't something new. It's been done in medical labs. It's very high price point at Johns Hopkins Hospital, right? It's been done before, but the difference is having readily being given access to something that's now fit to form, that's wearable, and gives you real-time data. Not only for us, but we talked about for the coaches in the locker rooms. I mean, if you think about it, you can analyze work rate and whether a guy's ready to perform in between quarters, in between halves, and then you can then deploy coaching strategies. I mean, I grew up playing basketball. If your team's fit, full court press, right? If they're tired, pack it in and play a zone. I mean, really, the verticals that can come from having this data on a regular basis is pretty amazing. Well, then that comes down to cost too. Well, the team here has really been able to dive in and find out what we've learned today too is that it's in the silicon that they're using, and ultimately it's just as powerful as a lot of these circuit boards. And it comes at a lower cost, and then the brilliant minds have been able to then manipulate that into something that's stretchable and wearable and applied to our skin, not really stiff wristbands or heart monitors that stretch around. Because as any athlete here knows, and me specifically too, even with equipment, I mean, if there's a little turn in a shoulder pad, I feel like it's going to affect my shot. I'd rather just play without shoulder pads. So like at a higher level, you want to be weight-free, quick, and just be able to have content delivered to you as soon as possible.
So it comes from the athlete more than anything else.
Yeah, but if I was a coach, I'd want to say I want the information just as quickly, probably before the athlete, so he can't try and adjust it or tell me otherwise, right?
I think the need for innovation and change, some circumstances, the head injuries in sports, there has to be change because people love sports and you want to play it in a safe manner for kids, for older folks, or amateurs, professionals. I think that necessitates change in a lot of ways, for safety, no matter what, what sport it is.
I think also just talk about the wearable technology component. You go to an Apple store, a Microsoft store, there's all these different things you can buy, and you see people counting their steps or whatever. To my knowledge, none of us are wearing them. That was one of the questions. Well, how come you guys don't wear them? How come you guys don't wear them? Everyone's wearing them. Well, they're too clunky. I can't wear them in my sport. So people hear that and say, okay, cool, let's go back to work. Let's make it flexible. Let's put it into something that they think is cool enough and fits their, their sport.
I think it's really interesting. You talked about who wants the data. Of course, the athlete wants the data, but I also believe your coaches want your data. We already talked about how you can integrate, especially in a team sport. Your equipment manager would love that data. You're overheating. Oh, maybe we got to find you some equipment that's more breathable. Your trainer, we were talking about concussions. So I think the entire athlete's entourage could benefit from all these different biometric feedback that you're getting in real time. And I don't know, it's just I'm a proponent, obviously, of data. I think, it helps you make better decisions. And, you could also talk about people that watch sports. Consumers of sports. How cool would it be to watch an athlete, their heart rate go up and down, or be able to compare many different athletes that are on the field at any given time, and that would really just enhance your viewing experience. So I think there's a lot of different ways that this can be. The data could be shared. Then obviously there's privacy issues, but overall, if you're any member of an athlete's entourage, your job is to make that athlete more successful and that team more successful, and the more data you can gather, the better.
We were having a conversation. Imagine if in the NFL, forget about, no one would even watch a game in a stadium anymore. If you're on television and your viewing experience, you're watching these players and you can see, essentially how much muscle activation they've had or how they're responding or whether they're dehydrated enough. You talk about the sports books in Vegas. What would change there? Fantasy football. It's the platforms are endless.
I think they already do this on Madden, by the way. Madden 25. If they don't, they should.
It's like a little power bar above your head.
I think what would be cool, would be cool to test too, is say, a 99 World Cup, I'm taking my penalty kick to show how hard my heart is pumping at that moment, but how as an athlete you can't tell what they have to do, or he's the last play of the Super Bowl, and you got the play in your hands to see how his heart's going, but you couldn't tell on their face. So I think there's things that really show the difference between the great athletes and when you're sitting home, oh wow, he really is under a lot of pressure and he looks so calm and cool.
It'd be great for a professor to have while the students are taking a test. He studied, she studied, he has no idea.
The cold call would be a lot easier, yeah.
I was told not to speak on the panel. There's a reason why I'm sitting at the end, to be the Vanna White. Look at all the students going, who's Vanna White? The question was what? Who's driving the electronics?
Thank you for that, yes.
And all of us, you shouldn't say all of us, all of them are the elitist of the elite. And when I say that is, who's driving this, because of my injury of post-concussion syndrome, parents are number one. Because parents' concern over head injury was the same kind of concern when parents first heard about the ACL injury. It's very similar to sprained ankles. If we can bring consumer electronics to parents, and some of us up here, I'm not a parent, but some of you guys are parents, that's an unbelievable tool, because when you have unconditional love for that athlete, and we're different, general managers, owners, that's a business. But all of us in here were once youth athletes. That's where electronics has the greatest impact on anything, because it's going to give the parents the data and the tools to make the right educated decision about what's best for their kids. And it's, we're always going to look at the elite. Look at this panel, by the way. But the reality is, who's going to drive it? What if we have data that shows this sport, no, it's not right, it's not good? I ultimately think it's coming from the parents. And I think that will be the game changer that MC10 has told us throughout the day, even though I was only there for 10 minutes, but that's besides the point, is that they want to be a game changer. Well, being the game changer is finding something that has never been there before and giving the parents the tools to teach their kids.
Right. So we've talked a lot about the really cool benefits for athletes and obviously for parents and for teams. Angela, you hinted at this very briefly. There are privacy issues. There's a huge question out there that says, is this going to change the balance of power? Will this give more power to those who have the data? And can it be used at the disadvantage of athletes? It's going to be harder to hide an injury, for instance, which I think is commonplace in the NFL. Will this change the power balance? And is this something that we have to worry about? Will this be at the disadvantage of athletes?
Sure. Well, I really like Taylor's comment, first of all. I think at the grassroots level, you're welcome. At the grassroots level, I think it's phenomenal. You can make decisions in sport. Your parents, everyone has your best interests. That may not necessarily be the case in major league sports, in Olympic sports. At the end of the day, you don't want to think it, but you're kind of a commodity. I mean, you're an athlete if you perform up until the day you're hurt, and then you're no longer a part of that team. So I certainly, whenever I had an injury, I did my best to, oh, I'm fine, coach, don't worry, I'm all right. And you brush it off, and you lie sometimes, and that enables you to keep playing. And so the data could obviously be used against you. But at the same time, if you're really injured, if you really have a concussion, if you're really, that next shift out there, you're going to tear something. As an athlete, I would really want to know that and make, a decision based on that real-time information. So yeah, it could be used against you, but I think in the long term, the data itself is only empowering if your ultimate goal is to stay healthy and to be successful.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think, there is a culture of hiding injuries, probably in every sport. You hear a lot about it in the NFL. Players versus GM, coach, I need my second contract, I need my third contract, this is my livelihood. So I don't have the answer. I think, Angela spelled it out really well. It's a double-edged sword, and I think a lot of players fight with it. How can I get myself better but protect myself at the same time? So I think that's, I'm sure we chew on it. I'm sure everybody here has chewed on that.
Well, look at the storyline, Andrew and Matt, in your sport. The athletes say they'd rather have an ACL injury than a concussion, and they talk about it all the time. The example I used in there with all of you was Greg Oden in 2000. When he was drafted by the Portland Trailblazers, when you really look at Greg Oden, the doctors at the NBA Combine suggested not drafting him. But who owns that data? Does Greg Oden own the data that his knee's 35 years old, even though he's 21 years old, or does the NBA own that? It's a fine line. And the other part is, too, and I go back to the grassroots, when do you start wearing the electronics? How long is your log of that data coming through? So there's no secret. As athletes, I think the hardest thing to gain with any athlete in any sport is trust. No matter what level it's at.
Yeah, the onus, the blame goes on the player a little bit for not being honest with the medical staff. So how are you going to ask the medical staff to give an accurate assessment of you when they're used to getting lied to all the time? Head injury, any injury, they're used to getting lied to. But then I also do believe that from what I've seen, I've been on a bunch of different teams, I've had some really good experiences, but around the league, the medical community could probably use a reminder at times that your commitment is to the patient. And it is a big business, and yes, you work for the owner of that team or whatever, maybe the university, and it's a big business, and I know there's a lot of money, but the oath you took as a medical professional, your onus is to that patient. And you can sometimes forget that that patient is a patient. And but again, I put blame on the players also for like we've all had. We've been taught, hey, just suck it up. If there's no blood, you're fine. Whatever.
It's the same for professors, actually.
I want to add to that. So there's one quick point. I didn't want to speak too much up here, but this really talks to the point for the need for objective data, right? The data that's not subjective to the user. It's data that speaks for itself. It is what it is. And when we developed the check light, the idea around that was really having that objective data, take that out of the hands of the athlete and themselves. If you're measuring force of impact to the head, just take it out of their hands and have a threshold where you start a conversation, whether or not they want it to start, and to give them the opportunity to symptom report. Now that metric can really spread across to anything, whether you're looking at heart rate, muscle activity, et cetera. There's all zones of danger, right? And if you think about that in that way, it becomes very interesting.
We have time for one or two questions from the audience, so think about good questions. But before we go there, we did talk a little bit about the fan experience and some cool ideas of what these data could mean for fans or for the media. Any other cool applications that you're thinking of that would really change the way in which we as fans experience sports?
Cosmetics. I know you guys find that surprising that I would say cosmetics.
You probably have to clarify that comment.
Let's say, a big concern. My family's had their fair share of skin cancer. I look at the medical aspect, maybe electronics. I mean, I wear sunscreen, but let's be honest, it's all, maybe that's a way of doing it. Hair loss. I think of stuff outside of sports as well with electronics. Oh, sorry, I didn't notice, sorry. I didn't even plan for that. That's good.
Full head of hair.
You guys use the same razor or no?
I don't know. Just a warning. I had hair in college, all you guys. So just beware.
No, you didn't.
Okay. How to Kill a Panel, Part 1. If there are questions, we have two microphones. We have one over there, and I see one over there. So you with the hand up, why don't you go to that microphone and ask your question? Make it a good one.
Hi. So I was thinking about so everyone who are athletes or who've played sport, a lot of people play because you love the sport and you just love how, your body can do these things. And I feel like sometimes when you're given all this data about what you're doing and you're kind of been told that what you naturally do is not necessarily right. Like if your throwing angle is just a couple of degrees off, it doesn't feel natural, but it's the better way to do it. And I feel like sometimes with more and more data, sports are becoming a little bit less natural. And maybe my question to you is do you think it could reduce passion for the game?
I'd love to take a stab at this one.
Go ahead.
Very quickly, that's a tremendous question. We were starting our brainstorming sessions this morning, and we were talking about product that's on the market that some of us have used. And Christine said something that I still may have taken it a different way, but I kind of understood it in an abstract format, and I didn't discuss it with the rest of the group, but she was talking about heart monitors and how you can gauge an athlete's work rate pretty easily and their recovery as well with heart monitors. But what heart monitors don't do is measure the athlete's heart. And I thought that was incredibly profound. And a lot of it kind of has to do with the swagger and confidence that an athlete has, which is immeasurable, right? And that's what makes some of the best athletes the best. So I'm not sure that the variables like an athlete's heart or their will ever be determined by data, but the stuff that MC10 and BioStamp is working on certainly can help, evaluate a player up into that point.
Yeah, I think you got it.
Go ahead.
No, ladies first.
Oh, very kind.
He's unbelievable.
What a true
Is everything right?
I would have gone first, not gonna lie to you.
I'm going to check. No, I think at a certain point in time, look, most successful athletes were naturally gifted athletes. They worked hard, obviously. I think there always has to be a combination of working hard and being naturally gifted. But at some point in time, your natural abilities aren't going to be enough. And so I think at that point in time, or it's enough, but you actually decide as an athlete you want to get even better. And so how do you do that if you've relied a lot on your natural abilities? And I think wherever that point in time is, the application of real-time data whatever metrics it may be, will help you increase as an athlete and continue to be able to have. I mean, Christine played 23 years. I'm sure if you asked her, what did you do consistently over time, like, she knows exactly what it was. But there was a point in time where she learned each one of those variables. So by the time she was a veteran, she could share that with the rookies. So I think, too much data could be, too much to handle, particularly as a young athlete. But I think it's all about a timing issue. And like on a personal experience, I play a team sport, so I should be getting different repetition than a rookie as a veteran. Yet we do the same drills and we're having the same practice. And sometimes I scratch my head and I'm like, wouldn't it be interesting to measure repetitions and understand how we should be treated differently as athletes? But we just have never had the capabilities to have that data. So I think, again, it depends on time frame.
And I think, too, the data we're getting, obviously what MC10 is trying to do is create things that are good for you. Try things that are going to help you. It's not necessarily to hinder you. Coaches may look at something like, well, his right leg's not as strong as his left. He stinks. They could look at that and look at it that way. But I think as athletes and as people, we're looking here to help you, to save your life, to do things that are going to make you a better player and healthier out there. And I think that's a big part of it to look at. And the love of the game, if you love it, you can pick and choose your data. Social media. I mean, if these guys listen to everything everyone said every day, then we go crazy hearing positive, negatives. So you have to be able to stay focused here, pick out the things that are going to help you be better and things that are going to help you individually as a person more than anything.
So things Matt and I, or one thing in particular we talk about a lot during a season is, you're breaking down an opponent, you watch a lot of film, you get an unbelievable scouting report with whole Excel spreadsheets that break down every little minute thing that the defense does going back, it can go back 4 years, go back to when this coordinator was here and he studied under this guy, they break it all down for you. And we sit there and say, okay, what matters? What is pertinent information and what else is
so what?
White noise? What doesn't matter? Who cares if they play this coverage, 15% of the time? We're not going to see it. They don't do it. Who cares if they do this? Maybe it happens once. You just got to be able to recognize it. But they do this 98.9% of the time. They line up in this coverage. This is a tell. We need to know that because when it happens, the 3 times of the game, we're going to check to this play that we know is going to work and it's going to be a touchdown and they're not going to run that again or else they're idiots and we're going to score another touchdown. So finding the pertinent information.
Which happens sometimes, by the way.
Yeah, and it does happen, yeah.
That's what Twitter just told me. Andrew Luck's smarter, you're an idiot.
So Twitter's right sometimes.
Twitter is right.
I think it does provide good evidence of the validity of data, yes. Other questions from the audience?
Hi, I'm Caitlin with Young Try. So I see one of the most practical applications with these products going forward being to youth, because they will be the lifelong customers. So my question to all of you is, how do you see the most effective marketing strategy to youth? Because the way that this product is going to get out to them is through the parents, being a kind of a must-have thing. Do you see it through elite level athletes promoting it, or making it kind of a standard in the industry, or any other thoughts on that?
I think the youth, just in reaching out to them over the last 4 or 5 years since my career has ended with concussion stuff, it has to be cool. And are we wearing Nike shoes if LeBron James isn't wearing them? If Andrew Luck wins the Super Bowl, when he does win the Super Bowl and he has that thing on there, it's immediately cool. Now, the other part is the substance to that product, and it has to work the first time, and it has to have that validity when you first use that product. But the cool aspect is what drives the youth in this country. What drives the parents is how efficient that product is and what they gain out of it.
What are the
I would agree. I have 3 kids, and we're Celtics fans in my house. And Rajon Rondo, when they won the championship, he wore like a sleeve over here, and I got a tomboy daughter and a son, and they wear a little like compression sleeve on their left elbow. There's nothing wrong with their elbow. It's cool. It looks cool. And then there was a marketing strategy that made them think they needed it and they wanted it. They didn't even know what it was. I don't even know what it is. So And as a kid, I remember just being a fan of sports. I would cut out Sports Illustrated and post them on my wall. And people ask me, like, well, how did you get your grip? How did you learn how to throw? Your dad played in the NFL. Is that how? I'm like, well, I don't know. I just remember being in high school, like sitting in my room, looking at all these pictures, all these quarterbacks. Like, well, John Elway holds the ball like that, and Joe Montana holds the ball like that. And then there was like a common grip that a lot of these guys had, and that became my grip. So I just think, and I think we all respect that opportunity as role models in a sense to do something better, pay it forward for our sports and for sports in general.
I think being a parent myself with young kids, I think parents going to want to find the best thing for their kid that makes sure they're going to be safe. But I could tell my daughter to go do something, and she'll look at me like, what? And then I can tell a 13-year-old that loves me and is like, okay, I'll do it. You know, my daughter loves me, but she doesn't love me the same way. She doesn't see it the same. So I think there's a balance, and I think the parents' knowledge of things is very important. And, you know, companies finding ways to get the message out. That is good information, not just selling the product, selling the whole product, of the worth of it, and showing you that it really is effective. That's big.
I want to add to that, just as a parent, I have two little ones. Not that I'm an obsessive parent, but there's the marketing 101, which is old school, which is elite athletes use it, then everybody else uses it, the masses use it, and that's still relevant. But if you start to see trends that are going on in the United States right now, there is an absolute obsession with parents to try to make their kids elite. You know, my kid's going to be elite. My kid's going to be elite, and there's different ways in which you can do that. You know, camps, training, etc. But if you think about, you know, each kid having a personal coach and you have instant feedback if you're doing something right or wrong. What makes people, you know, looking back at my own career and like a lot of different careers, what makes people good to then great is the repeatability of movement. And whatever movement you're talking about, whatever sport, you have to be able to repeat that movement over and over and over and over and be very, very, very precise about that. If you have a way in order to give you instant feedback to tell you you're getting quality reps every single time you practice, your chances of being successful, they skyrocket. So there is a movement that's going to really sell itself along those lines.
Matt, I don't think Isaiah is going to send his kids to your passing camp.
I would just add, if you're talking about marketing to kids, I mean, who's the most influential person or people in a child's life? It's their friends. So social comparison. I mean, kids love posting on Facebook, Twitter, talking about themselves, and of course they're role models. If I could compare my biometrics to like my idol in whatever my sport is, but then compare it across my peer group and show off in a way, I think, one, it could be motivating, but also a great way to market to kids. I mean, they do it all the time.
Great point.
I'd add that there's probably a few ways to go about it. I think maybe a little bit deeper into what you're asking would be, you know, if MC10 were to take biostamp of their next product to market by themselves, obviously it's an expensive process between marketing and sourcing and the relationships at the distribution level. The experience that they had with the Checklight technology and Concussion Impact, they partner with Reebok, right? They're working with all the big brands right now with the next technology, and a strategic partnership with someone who already has insane distribution is a way to sort of combine forces on a relative scale, and also ensure that you get the right technology out to the public. And then the third way which you know, is kind of like a grassroots way, but just to go to the governing bodies of each sport. And that's when you're really associating your brand with safety, which can't be ignored in this day and age, especially with concussions and then injury prevention, which can also be seen through the wearable technology.
We are almost out of time, so I'll take the last question, a very general one, and I'd love just quick responses from everyone. We have a vast amount of experience on this panel on what it takes to succeed as an athlete, and I'm wondering what advice you would give to the next generation, what advice you would give to young athletes on how to make it in sports, but also how to do so in a way that preserves your body for the long term. Any thoughts?
Well, I think the underlining theme you might hear is hard work. I mean, I don't think any of us would be up here to accomplish what we had if we didn't work hard. I mean, you could have the talent, you can have this and that, but if you don't work at it and continue to try to be better, you won't. And a big part of it is we enjoy what we do. I think that's a huge part of it. I was able to play for 23 years because I did have fun. I liked my teammates. Yeah, we won a bunch, which helped. but I enjoyed what I was doing, and then realizing the impact I had off the field with young kids and seeing that their eyes lit up when they're like, oh, wow, I could do that one day. So I think there's a couple things involved, but the really has to come from inside you to be better every day.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably a really common question we get from parents, the number one question we get all the time. But I'm not talking to parents here. I'm talking to Harvard Business School, like the future of what we have here, part of the future, right? In business and sports and entrepreneurship, and a part of continually improving. The thing that I've taken the most out of where I am in my career is surrounding yourself with people that are smarter than you on a regular basis. And in a team sport, you can only hope to be drafted to a team with great leadership. But take your team aside, everything from your agency to your strength conditioning coach to your PR team to your a team that you build on an entrepreneurship side to building businesses aside from your brand. I've found that's seems sometimes fundamental, but it's being able to buy in and have your ears open all the time and associate yourself with the people that are working harder than you, that are smarter than you, that have more experience than you, and then you can kind of learn and gravitate.
Yeah.
Go ahead again.
You did it once. It's your turn, Andrew.
Are you sure?
Yes.
I think what might get lost in today's day and age is how early and specialized kids start with sports. I know I had more fun playing high school basketball than probably any other season of my life. I played high school baseball, but played IM soccer at Stanford for a bunch of years. Didn't tell the coaches about that. But ran track. Fall was football season, winter was basketball season, baseball was in the spring, or lacrosse. Buddies would play lacrosse on a football team, go watch them. My sisters played volleyball and softball and swam, and it was encouraged in our house. And I think it's made me love football that much more. I don't know if I'd be burned out by now if I'd been at a training regimen at age 5 on. But I think I would have been. I really do. I think I'm very grateful for my parents for encouraging us to do whatever the heck we wanted. The only rule was if you started a season, you had to finish it, and that was might be the wrong crowd to say that to, but whatever.
Well,
No, I would echo that. Just passion. You have to love what you do. There's no way you're going to get up. I mean, for years I had to get up at 3 a.m. to go to. Played hockey in California to go to practice at 5 a.m. I had to really be invested because you love it. You have to have balance. I mean, you got to work really hard, but with that comes balance. You can't do it all the time. And then I would say you need to have a plan, because you can have this lofty goal in your mind, but not really any specific direction or smaller, tangible goals that can get you to that ultimate plan. Those would be the 3 things I would say.
I really liked Andrew's answer as a parent. It's so hard, all these coaches. Your daughter does want to swim meet. Like, we got to do year-round swimming. The coach will come to you, and you're like, whoa, bro, it's not happening. But that's just how they do it. Well, she's going to miss the window. My childhood experience was just like Andrew's, and I was really fortunate. I had great coaches. You don't get to always pick your coaches, but looking back, I'm really grateful to the coaches. I had 1 or 2. It wasn't even in football half the time, but just those people, they still help me today, things I learned from them. But the advice I would give, the thing that has helped me and the thing I think could help someone else is you get to choose who your friends are. And I didn't always choose to be friends with who sometimes I wanted to be friends with people, but I knew they weren't going where I wanted to go. And I chose to be friends with people that made me better. I made them better. We pushed each other. When kids I was hanging out with started smoking and drinking, I had a group of friends that, hey, you know what, we got a goal. We got to do everything we can to get there. Don't you vary from the goal. And it could be sports or something else, but I remember that in 6th grade, 7th grade, high school, college, especially in college. And even now, I've played a long time. There are guys way more talented than me that are out of the league because they weren't willing to make the commitment and hang with the kinds of people that are going to help you be better. And so you get to choose that part of it.
I'd like to end it. I'm as big of a fan as you guys. Go ahead, Isaiah.
No, after you. Unless you really want to end.
I'm up here as a fan, as all of you guys are. And this panel, the advice that you've heard is phenomenal. I'm going to come at it real simple, different way. You only get one ticket in life. No matter if you're an engineer, no matter if you are a fireman, you're in the business world, no matter if you're an athlete, you're a professor, all of us in this room, we get one ticket. And it cost me my career, but I have zero regrets. I played every game as if it was going to be the last game of my life. And in August 30th, 2008, it was. And I had absolutely no idea, and my life changed forever. I have permanent brain damage, I have post-concussion syndrome, and I'll have that the rest of my life. But I have no regrets. And I say this because it doesn't matter if you're up here on a panel, you're at Harvard Business School, you're a cameraman, whatever you are doing, it doesn't matter. You get one ticket. And the greatest advice my dad ever gave me was give them hell. And that's exactly what I do every day. Because there may be a day tomorrow that I wake up that I don't have control over. I don't have control over my brain. We all can have a plan. But that plan, there's bumps in the road. And if I can leave anyone with advice, I do this every single time I'm asked that question, live each moment, take a deep breath. You guys are at Harvard Business School. Take a deep breath, enjoy it, live each day, each moment for what it is, and I guarantee you, you're gonna be successful, and that's my dad calling me to tell me to shut up.
That's actually a perfect lead-in to what I wanted to say. I want to make 2 points. One is the hard work comment that Christine made. It's absolutely runs throughout this whole panel. That I made when I was in high school, I put a sign above my bed that said, "Let no one outwork you today, but have fun." And I put that in little parentheses to do that. And I held myself accountable to that every single day. And I bet you there's probably similar stories all the way up here around that. And I teach my son and my daughter, Isaiah Jr. and Lily, the same exact thing. I said, there's no way around it. Like, however way you slice, I want your best foot forward. You try your hardest. You might not succeed, but that's what you got to do. And I hold them accountable at every single day. 10 to 7-year-old, they know that from the day they were born, they're going to have to do that. The thing that actually may resonate with Taylor, I was that person. I was reckless with my body. And looking back on my career, if I'm going to leave anything with my son and my daughter, and in any athlete coming up, is I wish I would have been a little less reckless with my body during the times I could be, which is practice, etc. I didn't have to do practice like it was a game every single time, and I see that now through my son's eyes, and it makes me cringe to see him. He's almost a spitting image of how I used to play and how I used to practice when I was a little kid. He's a little hyper, he's emotional, he's ready to go, and I love it. But it's very, very tough for me to watch because I know the toll it's going to take on his body. So just don't be so reckless with your body. That's my.
I asked the question suspecting that it might lead to very general advice that would be applicable to MBA students, and that certainly is the case, and they are reckless with their bodies too. I think that really fits. I told you in the beginning that this was a rock star panel, and I think that they lived up to that billing. Please join me in thanking Taylor and Angela and Paul and Christine and Andrew and Isaiah and Matt for a wonderful panel.